Here we are, back at it again. Another day, another review. Today, I have 38 letters written from J.D. Rockefeller to his son. This is a book that I ran across, and I know we heard a lot about Rockefeller. You hear a lot about him, man. His wealth, his empire, all the different things he did historically throughout his life. So, without further ado, let's get straight into the review. And I'm gonna tell y'all a little bit of my thoughts. I got a couple of notes that I'm gonna read off of from some things I got from the book, but we only gonna do letters 1 through 5. So, letter one. Starting point does not determine your end point. I like that. So from here is really the origin, background, or your current situation don't dictate where you end up. Your decisions, habits, character matter more, right? In the letter, Rockefeller emphasizes inculcating self-reliance and not letting privilege corrupt one's character. That's big at the end, right? Because I can say a lot of people don't think about this, like the privilege. To me, there's different types of privileges or different types of gifts that you inherit that may corrupt your character. For one, it could be financially. If you grew up financially well off, like, or just financially thriving, that could corrupt your character because you could see how sometimes these people look down on us little people down here at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? So that could be one way. Or a lot of times, I'm not gonna lie, you see certain people who they may not have it like that growing up, but they're so genetically gifted. They're tall, they're big, they in shape, they don't work out much, but somehow they keep a phenomenal shape, man. And they just are overall genetically gifted, but they see that they get certain privileges or they get certain leniency from other people, and ultimately that leads to entitlement, or it leads to them having expectations of people where they don't necessarily have to put out anything in return, and that could corrupt someone's character as well. Now, that's why I agree with the first letter the most, because that's very imperative. It's very, very important for someone to understand. Like, your privileges can corrupt you, but like he said, the personal struggle, the self-reliance and things like that, I think is what makes somebody who have privilege, it makes them more humble and it makes them more transparent to the rest of the world, if that makes sense. Let's keep going. Letter two. Everyone is the designer and architect of their own destiny. So he explains, you have agency. The letter stresses that you should define what kind of person you want to become. Identify your resources, which could be skills, opportunity, or relationships, and steer your life accordingly. I love this. For me personally, this what I liked about letter two. I remember when I was young, and I explained this in another video, that when I was young, I mainly was stuck in a phase of athletics. And at that point, I just knew, like, my family pushed me into this way, all my friends, everybody pushed me this way. I just knew that I was going to end up one of the greatest football players ever. Not really understanding that, not that I didn't have the resources, but we didn't have the understanding, and then we didn't have the knowledge to understand what it took to get me to that level. Not that I didn't have the work ethic, we just didn't know at the time. You can only do so much as a child. But as I got older and I started venturing off into different things and I started learning new things and not being funny, a lot of people grabbed my hand and yanked me in a direction that was positive and that was conducive for my future. So that's when I started really deciding the person I want to become, outside of a career, outside of a job. But when you just meet me on the streets or you meet me in passing day to day, just striking up a random conversation, who do I want that person to be? How do I want to be perceived? How do I want people to remember me? Right, outside of what I do for a living. And that's what I started striving towards. That's what I started really cultivating my life around. Like, who is that person? You meet me in the coffee shop and you see a little fly guy there on his laptop doing some, ordering some coffee, chatting it up with a couple of people, and you come strike up a conversation. How do I want that to go? How do I want people to leave their feeling from that conversation? You see what I'm saying? That's why letter two mattered to me a lot because this is what I started doing like in my mid 20s. I say 23 to 25. This is where I started like, okay, let me start building that. Letter three, comparing heaven and hell. Whew. Also, the value of perseverance. I like this. The letter draws metaphorical distinctions, perhaps about the life of ease versus the life of enterprise, duty versus pleasure. It underlines perseverance in face of setbacks. Now, shout out Marquette Devon Burton because he always says perseverance or no, persistence overcomes resistance. And I like this in the topic of perseverance in the face of personal setbacks. So I could say for me, especially 18, I had a huge setback, a very huge setback. By the grace of God, I was able to overcome that with the help of family and things like that, and some people close to me. But perseverance, I think a lot of times when we run into issues, it's so easy for life to hit us in the jaw and you get stunned a little bit. Like if you boxed before, then you understand this. If you've been in a fight before, then you understand this. It's easy for life to hit us in the jaw or give us a nice rib shot or a nice uppercut, and you get stunned. You a little dizzy, but you got to shake it off and you got to get back in the fight and start back swinging, or you're gonna get knocked out. Your knees wobbly, your legs shaky. You got the spaghetti legs. You know what I'm saying? But that's the perseverance that I'm talking about. Often in life when you get hit hard, how do you respond? How do you react to that? Do you just curl up and ball up and go in the corner? Do you just give in to that will and just fall on the mat and just give up? Or do you shake it off? Do you depend on all your training, all your skills, all your resiliency? Do you depend on that and you keep swinging no matter how it end up? That's the perseverance I'm talking about. We're not talking about the outcome from perseverance because a lot of times you can't help the outcome. But this is one thing I do believe. If you continuously strive, if you continuously overcome things, if you continuously break down barriers, that perseverance will lead you to success. So that's why I like letter three. It said a lot to me, just reflecting and reminiscing on my past and where I'm at now and where I'm trying to get to. It spoke a lot to me. So letter four, do it now. Stop procrastinating. Act. Waiting for perfect conditions may mean missing the moment. Prioritize action. Y'all, straight up, let's check this out, man. Check this out. At 32, this man, this is something I'm having. I had trouble with, not now, because execution is my main thing. But this is something that I always had trouble with, trying to like, force the right time and trying to wait and wait and wait and wait. Oh, this the right time, or this the right time. I can say this for majority of life, there is never no right time. You just gotta do it. And if you do it fast, you may prioritize that action so much that you have time to undo a mistake, if that makes sense. If you act fast, then you can be in the moments where you realize, this bad, back out. Okay, I'm good. No harm, no foul. I didn't lose anything. But that waiting and waiting and waiting and anticipate. Now you act, and guess what? That whole time you was waiting, everybody in the background was working, and they done passed you by, or you done missed your mark. So that's what I mean by prioritize action. It's good to have ideas. It's good to brainstorm. It's good to wait on moments, but in the meantime, be working on small things. Yeah, you may have this big, huge thing that you're working on, but in the meantime, get those small wins because they're going to add up. And the more action you take, the luckier you get. You know what I'm saying? The more things you throw at the wall, some's got to stick. That's always been my mentality. Like if at first you don't succeed, yeah, you know the rest. But yeah, man, action. I think that's where a lot of people mess up. It be a whole lot of talking going on, but it doesn't be a whole lot of action behind it, or it be a whole lot of teaching, and it don't be a whole lot of leading by example. And it's okay because those who can do teach, and that's majority of people. But at the same time, taking action, whatever that may be, you have to take that action. So that's how that letter resonated with me, and I liked it. I'm not gonna lie. Letter five, the final letter. Be determined to compete. Competitive spirit is important. The letter talks about rivalry, the notion of being a conquered rather than just a predator. Ooh, vigilance. And that competition is like warfare in business. I've heard this from a bunch of business lecture that business is war for sure. Like litigation is a business tool, and in litigation, you are fighting for your life. Seriously. That's just what it is. But this is one thing I'm starting to see. Like, make no mistake about it. We live in America, right? And America is very, 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 not even very, it's driven upon capitalism. But in capitalism, you have to have one thing, a competitive spirit. If you don't, you will lose. A lot of people like to say, "Oh, I don't compare myself to this person. Oh, I ain't competing with nobody but myself." And I respect that. We all should be competing with the person we were yesterday to be better than that person. But this is what also I have to say: the person across from you, the person that is going to be applying for the same job as you, the person that's going to be getting the same skill as you, the person who's going to be going out on dates with the same person you want to go out on dates with, you are competing with them. You may not think you are, but you are. Even if you don't see anybody as competition, there's still competition out there. It's a market for everything. And if you're not competing consciously, then that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But somewhere deep down, you have to know that if I'm not getting better, I'm getting worse. You have to understand that if I'm not growing, I'm falling behind. If that makes sense. That's just my perspective. So yes, it's a hustle and bustle life. And I see a lot of people who get wrapped up in the, oh, we weren't made to do this and we weren't made to do that, and nowadays and now. But let's think about it like in ancient times. Let's think about it like from pastoral nomads. Let's think about it from people historically, like the revolutionary era, the medieval times. When life was pure survival, every single day, if you weren't putting up, you was shutting up. Every single day. Every single day. If you didn't go out there to hunt, you wasn't gonna eat. Every single day. If you wasn't trying to find new ways to protect yourself from you know, the natural order of life, weather, you know what I'm saying? The dangers of predators, things like that. If you weren't consciously and effort in a constant effort doing these things every day, you probably weren't surviving. Your bloodline didn't carry on. You're not the people that are still here on planet Earth today. Like all of the people that we have on Earth today came from people who did either the right thing or were up under people who did what it took. So even if we was outside of capitalism, you still have to compete. You may not be competing with the village across from you because it took all y'all in that village to make things happen, right? But you are competing with the animals. You competing against the natural elements of the earth. You know what I'm saying? Well, that could be mud, that could be snow, that could be extreme heat, that could be famine, that could be disease. You're competing. And we might not have to think of it in terms like that, but it's still a competition. Even your cells fight to live. Everything in life is competition, even if you don't think of it that way. Subconsciously, everything is fighting to thrive, dominate, or just sustain and maintain its weight. So I love that letter. And like I said, the first five was most important to me because I think these are pillars. I think this builds a solid foundation if you take these things and you proceed in life with this knowledge, if that makes sense. I believe that these are things that can help you thrive. So that's why I just wanted to come here and present y'all with this review. If you want to check out the rest of the book, go on Kindle, look it up online, buy it, whatever you want to do. But I will say this as well, because this is something that I found on the internet as well. Now, there are questions about the historical authenticity of this book. For instance, the Rockefeller Archive Center says it couldn't find letters matching those in the book. So some specific factual errors have been identified, like the dates, the references to institutions that really didn't exist at the time. So it appears the book may blend historical Rockefeller style advice with modern motivational framing that doesn't automatically invalidate all the advice, but it does mean that we should treat it as more as a motivational slash business text rather than strictly historical correspondence, which is what I do with every piece of information that I get. I put it in the back of my mind, like, okay, the what if? Like, what if this is true? I got it there just in case. But I don't take anything as fact anymore because most people on planet Earth are lying. Just straight up. Like how is society going now? Most people lying. Yeah. Overall, what y'all think about it? I liked it. This was just a quick, brief book review that I wanted to bring y'all today. And if you like it, drop a like, share, comment, whatever. If you dislike it, don't care. But I have nothing more for y'all. Y'all have a great day. I'm out.